And I want to talk about the first two clamps. One's an F-style screw clamp. You know possibly where this goes, but I'm going to show you today with the F-style clamp and the ratcheting clamp, the differences, but all the possibilities where these work. Okay, so in saying that, this stuff I'm going to forget, but you probably will, tell me where else these can go. All right? Okay, so the first time I went through a training at Festool, I saw the trainer go like this, and he went, and he made it look way too easy. I was struggling with this screw style clamp constantly, and I said, do that again, and I watched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it through a dog hole here. I'm going to bring it down, and I want to show you this on the clamp. Let me take it out again. Look at the movement here. See how there's the movement? So what you need to do is take this, when you put it in, and put your finger back here and cock it on that bar. That way there it engages this part on the bar, and you're good to go. Right then and there, I was like, this is amazing. Okay? Because I had struggled with this, and I'd be willing to bet there's a couple hundred of you out there that have struggled with these clamps. Now, there's another clamp right here. We call it the ratcheting clamp. Never get your fingers in there. Don't ask me why. That's a pinch point. Okay? But when you take it, it's the same way. You put that profile underneath through one of the dog holes in the MFT. Bring your finger back here. But you see this part right here? Make sure that's all the way forward. Bring it down. Put your finger back there. And there you go. Now, let's talk about which ones should I get. Okay? If we look at everybody thinks it's about the pricing, but I'm going to show you, you need both of these for different applications. Okay, now, see this? I think the majority of you love this clamp, but for the same price, you get two of these screw clamps. All right? I'm going to put this in here, but I want you to understand this. I'm going to screw this like this and clamp it down, right? Now, the nice thing about the ratcheting clamp, this will never disengage. But this one, over time, because this is a ramped screw, may loosen on you. But it's still a great clamp. Okay, now, hopefully you follow that. There's another version of the screw clamp. Did I tell you these come in a 2-pack? Okay, good. There's another 2-pack out there, and it's the screw type version. But what this for is you get a bigger reach. So if I'm clamping something like this, okay, a drawer box, right? Hopefully I can get it in here. I can grab it like this. I got too much set up here. I'm just going to move that like that. I'm taking your advice, Chris. Slow down. So if I need to screw this like this to hold this side of this drawer box and work this, I can. Okay? So, where do these profiles work? All over the daggone place. And I'm going to try to cover as much as I can today. All right? And I'm going to slide over here. So, they work through the dog holes like this, but they also work with the dog holes like this for a lower profile to hold something like this. All right? You'll see me using this in just a couple minutes with the rail because they work on the rail as well. But one of the things I've seen people struggle with over the years, and you don't need to struggle with this, is you see this profile here? I see people put it in this way. You don't have to. You can slide it in this way, okay? But I got to clamp something vertically. And I've seen people over the years trying to clamp something vertically like this. You don't have to. Just get what we create. It doesn't have to be a sustainer. It's good if it is. Okay? It could be the rolling stool. It could be something that elevates the material up and create what is known as a dead man in any woodworking scenario. So now you can work that, and when I put pressure on there, this stops the movement down. Okay? So that's an easy way to work in a vertical position. Okay, whew, here we go. These work in the guide rail. This profile just slides right in there. So a lot of you say, well, I just rely on these neoprene strips so it doesn't move. Okay, but what if it moves on you? What if you're working with a slippery material? You could take these clamps and slide it in and lock your rail down in the material. Now, I set up my 75 because I used to get frustrated when I was ripping my 75 because if I was ripping a board this wide, these ratcheting clamps would come in to play. Right here. Watch. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I need to lock it down I need to lock my board down to the MFT. But what was in the way? Look. See that? What you can do is you can take this. I'm going to take this off so I don't wreck it. But you see the profile here? Look at this. It is what? Slimmer than this top rib. So when I lock the board down, guess what? It doesn't impede the movement. The motor doesn't hit it on the way. Okay? But I want to talk about the screw clamp versus the ratcheting clamp. Because I know everybody wants to know the difference. Hopefully I've showed you so far. But I need both when I work, is what I'm trying to get at. Okay? So look at my length of board here. Okay, and I'm going to go through a couple scenarios here, okay? So I want to rip this. I want to clamp it down to the material, okay? But, Chris, hopefully you can get in here. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to bring it in. Now, if I was using the ratcheting clamp, see how it cants forward? Like this? This part gets in the way. The screw clamp, I can get really close like this. Look. See? Just like this. And this is really important because guess what? I got to clamp it down here as well. So let's come down here. I'm just going to loosen this up and move it a little. So it allows you, what I'm getting at, to clamp this material down and do it safely. See how close I can get to the profile of the MFT? Cool. Now, if I had this ratcheting clamp on here, come down here, Chris, so you can see this, everything gets in the way. So what I like to show everybody is when I take this clamp, okay, I can still, look, get a bite of that. Follow? But what I also like to do, you know how I showed you the hold fast on here? Okay, you can do that, but you can also do this. Watch. I can clamp to the underside, and it's all locked down, and that board's not going to move when I'm ripping. Okay, so there's a couple of tips right there. I know it gets a little too involved, but you'll remember this. You can go back and review it. Okay? Huh?
Great tip.
Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, good. So those two work with the rail. Okay. Whew. Back over here, Chris. Ay, ay, ay. Where else does it work? Well, you know what I'll do? I'll slide over here. Anytime you see what? A T-slot? Guess what? That clamp works on the CMS fence just like this. So if you want to have a stop and start point, you know, say you're doing a drop cut right here and then maybe a stop here to do what? A mortise? You can do that. Okay? You have that ability. That profile works in a bunch of places. Another one right over here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's go to the Capeex. In the Capeex mini table or the MFT mini, whatever we're calling it these days. I'm going to tilt it back so you guys can see this. See these little pods right here? That works on any configuration of MFT. But the MFT mini designed for the Capeex has this extra hole right here. Now, if we come over here, Chris, look. You can now, because you line it up on that configuration, you can get these. These are clamping knobs, and I can clamp it down. But if you don't have these knobs and you're out on a job site, see this little part right here? I can slide this up, and this comes up and locks in absolutely perfect to hold that down, and it doesn't impede the movement of my miter. So that's another place that it works. I told you not to let me forget this. There's another place that those clamps work. Whoa! The magnetics, tough tools for the toughest demands, baby. Check this out. This is the magnetic stand. It goes right here. It comes with a big steel washer that you could screw in. Boom. But if you're on the MFT or somewhere there's a dog hole or a 2x4 and you don't want to screw into it, there's a little slot right there, and it works just like that. Hey, Mo! Okay, good. So there you go. Another place that works. It's a system. Woo! Got it. Next. Where else does it work? Okay. We're almost done with the F-styles. We have this. This was the original crown stop and the table that came with it. And when you put it on the Capeex, you had this slot that your crown stop, and some of you have this, okay, it was the original offering, right, where you would set up your nest for your crown, but you can also use it just like this in the slot. But I'll talk about more about the Capeex clamps in a few minutes. Let's talk about, my God, this is fun. I'm just getting warmed up here. All right. So we all know what these are, right? These are called dogs. All right. These pieces come with these dogs. These are called clamping elements. When I first saw these, I was like, back in the early 2000s, I was scratching my head. What the heck are those? And then I went, oh, wait a minute. That's a dog. And on my traditional workbench at home, if I'm hand planing or scraping something, guess what? That impedes the forward momentum, doesn't it? That's what a dog does in a dog hole. But what if I'm sanding something like this? You got a and this thing wants to use a round pad sander. It wants to move around. If we come in here and you look, see this right here? That's an eccentric cam, an off center. It's thinner here and thicker here, so it creates it's basically a round wedge. Okay, it comes with 4 knobs, so if you want to lock it down to the table. If I put that against the opposing hole here, push it like this and pull it back, guess what? It is now locked in. That's what clamping elements are. In fact, my drill press at home, I have dog holes drilled out. I put this right in there and it holds it up against the fence. It makes a great drill press vise as well. Somebody recently, I just did an Instagram post on this, and someone mentioned to me, or asked me, what's my clamping elements are losing tension. If we look right here, it's a 3mm screw. Okay, it goes to a little screw in here, a little grub screw, and what you can do is if you start to lose tension, you can adjust the tension if it's too tight or too loose. And there you go. Okay, so there's a cool tip for you. Good? You just have to use the Festool hex key set. Okay, good. Okay, I'll put that over here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Now, I want to teach you how to use these clamps and I used to struggle with this all the time. I don't want you to struggle with it because these clamps are amazing. Okay? I used to struggle where, check this out. You see this? I need to do this, and the hole is not close enough. The dog hole's not close enough here, and it's too tight in here. I can't get my clamp in. So you know what I would do? I would rearrange my whole MFT table if I needed to do a dado or an inlay on something. Until I saw somebody in a class come in, and if you have something, look, the same thickness of your material, you bring it out like this. This is called making a bridge. And I could take it, put it in this hole. You always want to clamp closer to the hole back here. And if I do this, look, oopsie, that holds it nice and tight and doesn't move. So there's all kinds of possibilities and setups with these clamps. And I'm probably forgetting a couple hundred of them. Okay. Where do I start next? I got the Capeex done. I got the track saw done over here. You know what? I think I'm going to venture right over here to this little beauty. See this? We call this the gecko. Okay. And it fits on the guide rail with these 2 screws right here. You have to have a Festool posi drive number 2 to tighten it up. Just kidding. All right. But what it does is I want you to see this. These are suction cups. Okay, so if I put it on the rail like this, okay, so say I'm cutting out, let's just pretend here. Stay right there, Chris. Say this is a hardwood floor, and I got a board in there that I need to do a drop cut or a plunge cut to cut out for a repair. Okay, so how do you clamp the rail? A lot of guys I know don't clamp the rail. All right, and then it moves on them ever so slightly. I could take this down here just like this now, okay? Put a little bit of pressure, and it locks right in. So now, it'll stay where you place it, okay? What if I need to cut, hey, Sparky, come over here, Chris. What if I need to cut a window in here, a tea light. Look, that locks right there. That's called the gecko. That's what it's for. Wow. Doesn't leave marks. Okay, so there you go. Cool? Got it? Super cool. So that's another style clamp. You know what? I'm just going to take that off. Now, here's one of my favorite clamps. This is the one everybody says, when are you guys coming out with this? So you've seen clamps like this, right? The quick clamps, right? Okay, where it's a trigger here and you release it here. All right, but we made it for the Festool system. See how this is round? It's just not a straight 90. You can use this to clamp off of angles. So it comes in two parts, this part and this part. You put it on like this, slides right into the bottom of the rail. All right, just like this. I'll put it in here like this. I'll flip it over. Now, the nice thing about this, when I release it, is you can put it two different ways. You can put it vertical, or if this gets in the way, you can put it down. So what if you're creating reveals on doors? You can actually take this, and let me just set it up here. I'll move this out ever so slightly so it's set up on the door. Bring it right in, lock it in. And now I can take that and say I got to create a reveal at the bottom of the door. I know this is the top of the door, but I can create a reveal and lock it in. Now, there are some folks out there that lock this right on the door and put a track saw in a vertical position and run it. This handle may get in the way, so you could take this. Chris, can you come in here and catch this? And you could take it, whoopsie, and actually use it just like this. Okay? So it makes it a little bit easier in case that handle gets in the way. Vertical or horizontal. Gecko, F-style clamps, clamping elements. Oh, one clamp that's so misunderstood. To the point where I know a lot of you out there don't use hold downs on your slide compound saws. It's because they're difficult to use. They weren't engineered properly. It's usually a big old cup washer with a ball joint, and it always gets in the way. It's frustrating to put from side to side. This is a clamp, and I'm going to move it, and it's super easy. I'm going to push it back, and you're going to see the flat. Okay, I want to switch sides. I want to bring it right here and bring it in, and I'm going to hold down. Let me get a piece of base. Say I'm cutting base like this. Okay, now there's a couple of tips I want to show you. See how this is not a typical ball joint right here? It has these flats. You can get the pressure exactly where you need it. And what I like to do is I like to push it down, and you'll see how it's got a little bit of play back there. I lift it up like this, push it down, and it locks down there. So nice. And it switches from side to side. Now, I'm going to talk about that flat again because it's really important. I have it set up over here. Hey, Sparky, how are you? You doing good? It's okay. It's okay. I can work around doggies. All right. Okay, so this is the crown setup, the newest crown setup. This is our nesting board. You can see where I have set up the F-style clamps, the ratcheting clamps to work with it. Okay, but what I want to get is I've set it up. I've set up my crown in here to create the nest. But what I was getting at is you've never, or I know a lot of clamps that I've used, I've never been able to put clamp pressure on crown molding. I can now. Look at this little flat. I can bring it right up here and hit this little fillet right here, and there's your clamping pressure. It just holds it. It makes it really nice. It won't move on you. So there's an unbelievable clamp that possibly you're not utilizing. Make sure you do. See this surface right here? We have, and when we build something like this is our work table and support. These work in the secondary table here. They work here on top. There's all kinds of positions where this works. But also, we have this. So say you go out and you're on your CT dust extractor. You need a work surface. It's a clamping surface right here. You can clamp to it. You got a neoprene strip. This is the CIS MFT. You can store your clamps right in there. But also on the side, if you need to get on the side here, you can. And it's also got a V-groove for round stock. Say you got to work a spindle. Okay? Good. Woohoo! There's several versions of the MFT. Okay, and let's get our heads wrapped around this system, because it is truly a system. You're going to see how it's all integrated. All right, now, when you look at the MFT/3, whether on the web or one of our catalogs, any of the literature, you'll see it set up with all the hardware on here. Now, very important, there's another one out there called the MFT3 Basic. It's just the table. There's no cross members on there. I'll cover those in a few minutes, okay? And there's a savings, and I think it's around about $100. Okay, but this is the question, or this is what I've heard over the years, whether trainings or on the road doing demos. Oh, I'm just gonna get that, save the $100, and if I need to get the extra hardware, I'll just get it. That would be a You can't get the extra hardware unless you put it all together in pieces and parts on our ECAT system. And it's very, 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 very expensive. A lot more, I was talking to Brad the other day, a lot more expensive. So I would always coach people, if you need the basic, great, but it's really, it behooves you to buy the MFT3. I call it the full Monty, the whole shebang, okay? Because, and I'll show you why today. All right, now, there's the MFT3, that's the MFT3 Basic. Over here, follow me with this unit, we have this setup. This is, and I was doing a training with Justin on this yesterday, this is the MFT Contouro. Now, you'll see that you can get the angle unit, you can get the table, you can get all the fixins, but my suggestion is this. Buy the whole thing, because pieces and parts, when you put it all together, it's kind of like a conglomeration, and it doesn't really work, and you're always missing a part here and a part there. So get the whole thing. You get another frame, fold it up, tuck it in the corner. But why an MFT Contouro? Well, the way I've always coached people is this is the handle. So when you're holding a Contouro, right, here, and you have a small piece like this you want to edge band, and after you clamp it, this actually gets in the way. So it's kind of like, and I'll word it this way, it's when you are working with smaller pieces, kind of like with a router table. When you're working with small pieces, you don't want to do it handheld. You take it to a router table. Same thing with the MFT Contouro. When you're working with small pieces, now you have a semi-stationary area where you can feed in your edge banding and run it, just like this. And it's so easy. You just take it. I'll come over here and show you. It seems like a lot of folks who get the Contouro table end up leaving it in here. I'm just going to unlock these two knobs here. I'm going to lift it up. I always lock one knob. And watch. Now I can go from semi-stationary to handheld. So it's wicked easy. It's for doing small parts. But if you want to leave it just in there, you can. And you take the two little lips here, slide it in, and you're ready. And make sure you lock it in. And now, like when I do drawer faces, I'll do these two first. Look at this really small piece. This is a really difficult piece to do it handheld with the Contouro, not with the Contouro table. Okay, next. I've talked about this before, but I want to really show it today. What if I have a long piece, a narrow piece like this, and I need a little more outfeed? Or I go to the job site and I want to set up to trim and everything. This is the MW1000. Okay, it's a nice clamping station. It's a roller. You got a V groove for round stock. But what I really like are the extension tables. And guess what? Those, you can purchase those separately. So I could take that, bring it over here, and it makes it really nice for outfeeds. What do you think of that, Minnie? Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And you get those 20mm holes, so you have all the areas to clamp on. Okay? And in the MFT, we all know, is so daggone versatile, whether I'm clamping from up top in the 20mm dog holes or in the vertical position. I can clamp everywhere. So now you have an extra out-feed table or in-feed table, whatever you want, or you can get 2 of them. The nice thing about this is it's ultra portable. You got a great workstation. You got the extension. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here, everybody. Now, I'm gonna, come on, Chris, follow me with this, babe. You don't want to go too fast? No? Okay. Then slow down. Okay. There's another table out there, and I get confused myself because originally I used to call it the MFT Capeex because that's how it came out. But now, sometimes it's still called the MFT Capeex in the Capeex station or area, but it's the MFT Mini. And it's a small table right here. Follow me, Chris. Over here, look. It's this height right here, but it also stores nice and conveniently underneath the MFT. But over here, when I say MFT Capeex, the holes in the pods here on the Capeex fall into the holes. Now on the MFT Mini, there's extra holes drilled in. Okay, 20 millimeter holes. And a lot of people don't know this, but Chris, follow me here. We have a stand, right? The UG stand that you could put with these brackets attached to the Capeex. But look at the space underneath. This is why I like the Mini at home, because I get it built into a station. But, come here, Chris, follow me. I can store a what? A dust extractor right underneath. And that's what I like about it, because it's a small format. Now, it just works right for me. So when somebody's asking me, should I get the stand or the MFT Mini, or should I get the UG stand? I'll say, well, are you going to be portable all the time? They go, yeah. I go, then get the stand with the extensions. And the campaign's going on. It starts what? The 29th? Okay, it's a great, it comes with the stand, it comes with the UG stand, the extensions, the KS120. Huh? Oh, I did the 199 on it. See, the memory's getting better. Wait till we hit 300, huh? Yeah, for sure. Okay, now, what are these extra holes for? I'm just gonna reach back here and grab a clamp. I always love this. Somebody, when I first showed this years ago when we came out with the Capeex, someone said, oh, you guys just got lucky with that. And I went, what? Yeah, engineering is lucky. See the extra hole right here? If I take the clamp, bring it up all the way. See this little flat spot right here? It goes right in and locks the Capeex down to the table. So it doesn't impede your mitre at all. See that? It's just really slick. But what if you don't want to use these? In the catalog with the Capeex, we have a knob set. Okay, right here, Chris. So you see right here? See the hex, it fits in there, and guess what that goes? Right over one of those holes, so I can lock that right underneath, just like that, okay? And I gotta, there we go, close my eyes. And it locks it in absolutely perfect. So you can see, I went and grabbed a straight edge when I froze, that everything is the same height. That is shop 101, including the STM. Let me get this out of the way. All right, so with the STM, I use this all the time. This is my cut station or my ripping station. You've seen me use this all the time. And then I can fold it up. When I bring it all the way down, it stores under the MFT just like the Mini does. It's a system. What, Mini?
You're giving me whiplash.
What did I do?
Mini.
Oh. The MFT Gleb. I did it. That is just so daggone funny.
It's so true, though.
You make me laugh, kiddo. Oh, God. All right. Nah. The other thing with the MFT, and I broke this out. Oh, wait a minute. Let me open this up. Oh, Easter egg. How you doing, Dirk? Is Dirk here?
Oh, yes. Hi.
All right. Mr. Dayton is here. All right. One of the smartest whippersnappers I ever met in my life. Okay. So here's the Crossmembers for the multifunction table. Some people need them. Some people don't. Some people say we should include them. Well, not everybody needs them. So we always say let
we let you decide how you want to maximize your system, okay? Without adding a lot of extra cost. So a lot of people say, hey, that's really wobbly. If you want to shore it up, you get the cross members. It takes probably me about 10 minutes to put them together. You got this piece here. I took it apart so you can see it, and I want to coach you on something. You take this piece and you put it on that bottom rung. This piece here allows you to snap it and store it and be portable with it. The one piece, there's a couple pieces I want to show you. And I want to show you this bracket here, or this knob. And you see how I've loosened it? It's spring loaded. So I always would hear, I'm always losing this knob because I can't get it off of the bracket. Now the bracket I will show you in a moment. I'm going to loosen this really quick. Oh boy. Okay, so people would loosen it, but realize it's not spring loaded. It's spring loaded, and Chris, can you see the bracket here when I take it out? Okay, I want to save you probably about 5 minutes of time. That's why I brought one of these out. Here are the brackets, okay, and you have this where it threads underneath in the extrusion. How you doing, buddy? Hey, this is the best part of Festool Live right here. You get to hang out with the sparkerator. Okay, so when you thread this in, you take this nut here off, you thread it in here, okay, and then you thread it in. Now, when I was first setting this up, it used to drive me crazy because if we look down here, I used to do this. The first 2 or 3 times I did, I went, this is frustrating. I would feed it in like this, okay? This is what you got to remember. The angle is, both of these are inward. It makes it so much easier. So what I'll do is I'll set it up, bring it to this point, and then I'll tighten that knob in there, or that nut right there with that nut, that bolt, and it'll slide in. It is so nice. And to store them, you just take it like this, you squeeze it, you bring it over, and that stores right on board. Okay, for that portability. Sparky, you're getting some good tips.
I'm about to give him the camera.
I'm telling you, man. He's right. He's missed us, hasn't he?
He sure has.
Oh, this is so daggone cool that we could get him in here. Okay, so those are the cross members. It doesn't take much time. Remember, they go inward. The groove goes inward. That's how I always remember it. Okay, let's have some fun. So I'm going to swing around here. Chris, I'll get this out of the way. No tripping, no tripping. So, remember what I said, MFT3. What comes with it in the hardware? It comes with a 1080 reel. It comes with the 2 brackets. This one goes on the back. This one goes forward. It comes with, what? The fence clamp. It comes with a... that's an old one. Here's the new one. It comes with an updated deflector. It comes with a stop. And it comes with, I'm going to break it apart so you can see it. Here I come. All right. It comes with the angle unit and the fence. That's what comes with all of that. Now, here's the reason. We still there? I'm not frozen?
No, I was just telling him the dog's right behind.
It's okay. He's cool. He's cool. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is, you remember last week I said do the math? I used to coach people in training classes, do the math when it comes to the MFT3 versus the basic. I'm going to show you why you should have all of this. Oh, I'm just going to store it. No, watch. See this rail? You can always use extra rails, right? Okay, you just get a couple rail connectors. Very important, rail connectors versus MFT3 connectors. All right? This is $125 on its own. You're already saving money, and then you get an extra stop. Okay, and you can always, and you'll see when I set up my MFT, I always have extra stops in here. That's $28. So you're already ahead of the game. These are US prices I'm quoting. So hang in there. They might be different up in Canada. They may be different in Europe or around the world. But that's what, I just looked them up on the web. So that's what they were, all right? Okay, So you're asking, well, I'm just going to store this and I'm not going to use it. My first year, I built something in my home, my office, Chris, you know it, okay? And I was scratching my head. How the heck am I going to get repeated cuts on 8-foot lengths? So I thought of this. I went, well, wait a minute. Let me get rid of this stuff so you can see. All right. And these are the mental gymnastics I go through, so hang in there. Okay? I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm going to go, well, wait a minute. I'll just take one of these and put it here, and I have a stop, and I can extend it. And Chris, get over here. One of these pieces, right here, just get a piece of that. Look, I need to cut 8-foot, 6-foot lengths. But here is where I want to make sure you get all of this right. Watch, I don't have repeatability because this wobbles, right? Okay, now, yes, you can. It was really funny. The unit said, Sedge, do you know we sell these individually? I go, yes. We used to sell the stops individually, but we sell the rail, not the stops, the rail connectors, we sell those separately, but now we sell them in a 2-pack. This is still sold singularly, and there's a big difference. Look how thick that is compared to a rail. You know what, Chris? I'm going to bop out of here, and I'm going to grab the new rail connectors. I got them right here. This is a killer set to have for connectors anyhow, because you get everything in there. But look at the thickness difference. Okay, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Oh my God, you make me laugh, kid. Okay. Wow, Sedge. So it's really funny. Okay, so you have the hexes here, and these are the new connectors. They're awesome, but you notice the thickness. Rail connectors will not connect your MFT. So let me set this up. Let me get stuff out of the way. All right, let me get this out of the way so we can see this. So here's how I'll coach you. If I need to cut something, and I just use this for rule of thumb so you can see it, and I'm going to use Imperial, okay, anything over 3 foot. I need to what? I could take this and bring it out a little bit, watch, okay, and still have those stops at the end, but I really don't want to do that. I want to make sure I could cut 8 foot. So I need another table is what I'm getting at. So what I'm going to do is get this all out of the way, but I still need, very important, this, so I don't have any deflection. This is my #1 reference point. Okay, so what I need to leave space for this is what I'm getting at, the rail clamp. So what I'm going to do is I've already installed this back here into one side. I'm going to install this in, but I'm going to leave some room, and it's a 4mm hex. And I'm going to bring this in just like this. I usually leave one stored on there, and I did. Okay. And what I want to do is bring it together like this, kind of. Okay. But once again, I want to leave room to tighten this. So I bring it away a little, and I can still tighten it. So let me get out here a little. Okay. I still want to see I can bring it back. So it's moving it back and forth to make sure, and this is the beauty of live, so you can see it in real time of me doing my mental gymnastics, and bring it in, and I usually can get 1 screw. This is what I had to figure out for those long pieces for my library. I'm going to bring it over here, tighten that, and you see now I have no movement. When I put that other piece on, I have a solid reference point. So when I take that, okay, remember, I have this all tight. I'm just going to bring this like this, bring it over, okay, just like that. So I clear this. I'm going to bring it in, tighten it. I'm at 0. Bring it in, tighten up. I still have this space in here for my rail clamp. I have to have that. That eliminates the deflection. Next. So when I was doing this in 2007, I was like, I wonder if this is gonna work. And I have a colleague I've worked here, he's been here 20 years, his name is Rick. And my favorite slogan that he came up with is, Sedge, don't doubt the system. Okay, and it works, watch. It's just neat. You don't have to. Watch, I'm gonna lock it in, okay? I'm gonna bring it up. This should not be in perfect alignment. The only thing I want is this, okay? So I wanna give a little bit of space there, lock. It doesn't have to be even. I just get it close. Kind of like the fences on the Capeex. I always push them back a little in case there's bowing in crown or in chair rail or molding. So now look, I have another stop. So if I'm cutting, Chris, get it? Okay, you good like that? Good man. Okay, I'm just gonna take it like this. I'm gonna take it like this. And boy, now I have on long pieces, I've ripped these with the parallel guides. You're gonna see there's a little bit of, space there, okay? I'll move it over, okay? And you got extreme, I would probably try to square that because that's not square, but I would make sure, you know what, I could even do this, watch, back it up a little. The only thing I need is this, okay? So I can bring that right in there. I still have that stop. Boy, this one isn't square, is it? Okay, so it doesn't have to be, no. The only thing I want is this because my true reference, which I squared up earlier today, is right here. And I know I'm gonna get a perfect 90-degree cut. And now I can cut extreme lengths. So let's check this out. Where am I at on this? I'll just hold it here. Unit, can you hold it there? Yep. Look at the unit. And I got 7 feet. Oh, wait a minute. I need that stop all the way out to 8 foot, and that's what I have to have. I cut those pieces at 95, and I just lock it in. And now, as I lock it in, everything is tight. Once I get that 90, I can bring that out and get that perfect cut at 8 foot or 95 inches, however I want it. So that's how you do it. It works, believe me, but that is why I have that extra hardware, okay? Was that worth it? Yes, that was worth the extra one. Oh, thank you, Minnie, the extra $100. Now, I've talked about that on Festool Live, I think 2 or 3 times on the MFT. I wanted to actually show you today. Cool? So you understand all the tables? Let me check my notes. Yes, I have notes. Hey, Sparky, what do you think, pal? I'm gonna hook up my TS60, okay? Remember, and when I go through this, okay, what works on the rail? Garrett, what are you doing? Wow, hang on, stay right there. I got a wicked cool assistant today. Not only is he a board magician to make sure you're watching, stop shaking unit, to watch this, but he is the best guy we have working at Festool, hands down. Okay, so when I go through all of this, check this out, I have an assistant. Whoopsie, I wish I had a plug-it cord on TS60. Thank you, Garrett. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through a bunch of stuff I've already covered on Festool Live. And this happens all the time with me. If I'm at a show, check this out. He handed the hose to me.
What's Garrett doing next Friday?
Daggone it, he's awesome. Who loves you, buddy? I do, and you know it. Okay, so watch. Every time I go to a trade show, I was at JLC, and someone said, Sedge, what else works on the rail? I always scratch my head and go, have you seen Festool Live yet? Okay, I talk about this constantly. This guide rail / track, whatever you want to call it, is a common thread through the Festool system. But today, I'm going to give you all kinds of tips and tricks of all the tools that work on the track. And I look back at some of the episodes, and there's some things, well, there's a lot of things in this episode 215 I'm going to cover that I didn't cover before. Okay, so let's make a quick cut. I've set the depth. I'm going to put down my window. I set the depth here. FS means the thickness of the material. And I'll make a quick cut. Now, really important, I always double check to make sure I don't start into the material. And I always bring it up full speed. So, of course, the track saw works on the track. And we have several varieties. Okay, my go-to saw now is the TS60. I love it, okay? It's my go-to. The TSV60 is basically the same saw, but it has two motors and it has a scoring blade on it. Yes, there's an episode on this one, TS60 and TSV60. Check it out. The TSC, see, every time you see a C, come in here, unit. I'm breaking the code here. TS, okay? The C means on any of our tools, what does it mean? It's cordless. It takes 2 batteries. Wonderful saw. These all have the 1.8 in it, except for curved blade, except for the TS75. The TS55 EQ, if you don't need the extra depth of cut, I always tell everybody, hey, save a few dollars. I was going to say a few Bitcoins, but I can't do that. You get. What is it with you two miners here? Give me a break. Okay, you could save a few bucks. Get the TS55 if you don't need the depth cut. Just rip a plywood. Just get a 55. It is the most amazing saw system in the world. We get tons and tons and tons of accessories for the Festool system. Okay, now, if you need extra depth of cut, 2 3/4 at 90, then you get a TS75. Now, very, very important. I'm going to show you another tool, and I'm going to show you it works on the track later on in this episode. And you're going to scratch your head, and you're going to go, why would I use that? Remember the depth of cut? Remember that. 70 millimeters, but 2 3/4. Okay, so that's important. What if something's thicker? How do you accomplish that? I'll show you later on, and I got a great tip for you how to do it. Okay, so as I step over here, yes, we've done episodes on the 1400, the 1010, and the 2200. There's one on the MFK 700 system. And, oh my goodness gracious, Minnie, look what Garrett's doing.
I know, he's amazing.
He is amazing. I think he's going to take over Festool Live soon. I hope.
Probably not.
Okay, no, just kidding. Okay, so check it out. I would love that. Coming in and working the board and you do it. Oh, hey, I'm still number 1. Okay, so as we go over here. Okay, so Minnie, I got to tell you this. At JLC, somebody said, you guys have a lot of fun doing the Festool Live. I go, it's the best hour all week. It really is. I'm with family. Okay, now. I'm going to go and set up I have it set up. I'm going to set up the 1400. And then I'll show you a few nuances with the 1010. Okay, and I'll show you something else. I want this to evolve for you. All 3 of these work on the guide rail to guide the routers. It doesn't work for the MFK 700. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so this here, I'm going to break this apart really quick. This here is a guide stop, okay? On the 1010, that's the guide stop. And on the 2200, this is the guide stop. They all have micro adjust. You can, if you get the 1010 with the new accessory kit, there's a micro adjust that comes in it. The micro adjust is built onto the 1400 guide stop and also the 2200. What's really nice is I was setting this up, the 2200, when that was released, came with all the top accessories in a kit. And then we learned from everybody. Remember last year we came out with this, the OF1010 accessory kit? Well, guess what? We put all the top accessories for the OF1010 in here. So We don't have one for the 1400. Okay, but this is the guide stop. Okay, the rods for the guide stop come in the bottom of the sustainer. I guarantee that they're in the bottom. Just check it out. So the guide stop comes with these two pieces and also this piece here is a support bracket. So it's a pretty easy setup. You put it on here like this, and what's the thing you have to do is knock out the lateral tolerance. So if it's wiggling, what you do is you take a posi drive screwdriver, and you're going to see two tabs here, okay? And what you do is you just take that posi drive and you push them forward so it's nice and tight on there with no lateral tolerance. So once you get it on there, it's rocking and rolling. I'm going to put it on here, just like this, slide it in. And here's the disconnect I get whenever I show this in person to people. Excuse me, the router rides partially on the rail. You lock it in with this knob, and this is what the support brackets, or one of the reasons the support brackets there. And guess what it does? It supports. So when I take that, now it runs on the same plane right here. Now, the important thing that I get all the time is, why should I get a Festool router? It's ease of setup. Of course, it's going to be killer dust extraction on all of them, but it's ease of lineup, whether you're using a parallel edge guide, a guide stop, with the track. Because, follow me on this unit, right here when I do my lineup, that is because we precision grind these rods. Okay, so if you have a domino and when you remove it, it makes a pop, same thing. We've been doing that forever, precision grinding rods. That's my center line. So I can control that and bring it right in there, because I'm going to put a piece of 18 millimeter in there. Minnie, what's half of 18?
9.
9. Perfect. So I have that set up there. Now, over here, unit. On the 1010, we have center lines. And on 2200, we have center lines. And they're all over the place. One there, there's one here. They're everywhere. Okay? We can do that because we take the time at Festool to precision grind everything for, everything. Square, flatness, and round. We love quality, and hopefully you love the quality that we produce. Okay, so I have look, MFT3. I have a pause and stop. What if I have multiples of these? What if I have to put this at an angle? This MFT becomes a jig. It's all part of what?
System.
The system. Hey, even Garrett remembered that. We got to get you a microphone. No, he says. Okay, so come over here, unit. Right over here. We also have a scale, and Minnie just told me half of 18 is 9. So I can take that over here, look. And that's what the scale is, because look at the 0. Let me get a pointer to that. See, that's 0. I don't want to set this at 0. I want to set it at 9, which is just before 10. Pretty good at that, huh? And look. I have a positive stop here because I don't want to be routing, and look at that. That's called the limit stop. Okay, I can bring it back over here and set it up over here, 9 forward, and I take my other stop and bring it right here. I'm basically ready to rock and roll. I just have to do what? Do the depth. So I'm going to zero that out. I think I've done this a few times on Festool Live. Hopefully, it's just another refresher for everybody. Okay, watch. So if I take that, see how I have my bit is at 0. I take it like this, and I don't want to read the scale. I know this. You have to have a domino for this. You have to have domino gauge blocks. I want to go down 5 millimeters. So I take that, that's my lowest turret setting, and I bring that right in, and then I take this out, and guess what? When I punch this down, I will continue to go 5 millimeters in depth. I have it set precisely. Okay, let's, man. I'm gonna get my plug-it cord. I was sanding yesterday, so I gotta make sure my dust extraction is turned all the way up. Turn it on, that helps, right? Make sure it's plugged in. You know what? That always helps. Make sure it's plugged in to the wall. So I'll just take that out. Whoa, look out. Let's get it in there. I get those hidden plugs. Okay, we're ready to rock and roll. I get full power or full suction. And let's hook it up. I got that on there. And then here's the little tip, another tip I want to give you. Okay? I always think safety first. Make sure that that is cycled off. I make sure everything is tight where I need it tight. And then I put my plug-it cord in. Now watch my hand. Once I have electrical to this, it never leaves here, okay? Because it's not pinned. It's just your pressure on here. So I'm gonna turn that on. Now I'm going to take my hand off and check it out. Not so bad, eh? Pretty good? All right, so that's what works on the rail. I didn't show you that one. I wonder how I did back there. Well, I'm probably a 1/2 millimeter off. That's my eyes. I apologize. And there's just a little dust left over. I'm just going to take that up. Oh, look. Bluetooth. I love Bluetooth. Okay, so there you go. Now, just really quick, I want to cover this because some people will say, why does it have to ride partially on the rail? It's just that it keeps balance better. On the OF 1010, it's basically the same thing. I've got the slot knocked out. I can dial in the center line, and it uses a support bracket. Okay, now, this is what I was getting at early on. There's stuff I'm going to cover that I haven't covered yet. This is the guide stop for the 2200, okay? Yesterday, I came in and I made sure I knocked out the slot. This had a lot of wiggle room. So, I took a positive, what, Minnie?
Christine just logged in as the soundboard queen.
All right. Is that Red Panda?
Yeah,
All right. Okay. She's going to hate me on Monday for that. Okay. So I'm going to take that and I can dial those in. Now, I like a little bit tighter because I know it won't move on me or twist. So what I do is I like to take a little wax and just put it on these two tabs, and it makes it slide really slick. Because right now, that's pretty good, okay? There's no wiggle room in there. But if you want it a little extra tight, little more reference, turn it another like 1/16 of a turn and put a little wax on there, and it's perfect. Okay, so we have that set up. The next thing is putting on this unit. Okay, and when I put it on, there's a central clamping knob here, and I put it on in this orientation because I want to show you why. And you see, if I put it on and it rides partially on the rail, and I lock it in, okay, I can use the support bracket, but it still seems a little not wobbly, but not perfect. So we have this feature, and everybody asks what this is for. So if I take this lever here and watch, I can change the base. And I don't think I covered this in the last, when I covered the 2200. You're gonna see this offset, and I'm just gonna get the visual for you here. But guess what? It rides partially on the rail, and it comes off even because that's a 5mm offset. So if I put that on here like this, come up unit. Okay, you see these two tabs here, or these two areas here. These two tabs go in like this. And when you put this on, make sure your hands are away from this, okay? And just snap it on. And now, and this is gonna explain one more thing for everybody. As I put this on, I'm gonna slide this on. Okay, let's get this on here. I'm going to lift it and bring it right here. Okay, I'm not gonna put it up against there, but I'm gonna bring it right about here, and I'm gonna lock it on. Okay, now, this is important. I think this is wicked cool. If I have the support with this base, I don't need that support bracket. But what we did is we still left this open. There's a notch in here. And yes, the kit comes with a support bracket. So now I can start it 9mm forward and stop it 9mm aft. Okay, so I could just set it like this and put it like this, and I still have room for that scale. That's why this support bracket, the scale, it gives support, but you don't need it with this, but I do need the scale. Okay, and hopefully that made sense. I wanted to show you the OF 2200 setup, and this is a wonderful router. Okay. Wow, what else works with a rail? Okay, so this is something I talked about. I'm going to turn off the light on that 1010. This is something I talked about. Follow me on this unit. We have a bunch of guide rails, and what sizes do they come in? Everybody has asked me, which rails do I need? Well, I'll cover it. Come on, follow me, young man. Okay, we have two types of rails. I hope everybody knows that. We have the FSK rails right over here. Look, these are the ones that the HK's carpentry saws work with, whether cordless or corded. Okay, you have the 250, the 420, and the 670. What does that mean? When I have the HK on there, that means with the short rail, the 250, I get 9 7/8 crosscut capacity at 90. With the 420, I get 16 1/2 crosscut capacity. And with the 670, I get 26 3/8. You know how I remember all of that? I have it written right here on each rail. I can't remember everything. Okay, now, this is the beauty of the Festool track saws and the track saws. The tracks, the guide rails, the FS guide rails is this. We have them from 32 inch, we have 32-inch ones, we have 42-inch ones. That's where it's a 1080. Those are in, you know, standard, which is metric, okay? But that's how we came up in the early MFK. We had the MFK 1080, and everybody thought it was the surface area of the table. It wasn't. It was the rails that came with it. So look, remember we had the MFT 800 and the MFT 1080? Those were the rails that came with it. And those were your crosscut capacities, because you'll get, well, not crosscut capacity, but the length of rail. 42 inches for all those people using imperial steel. Now, the FS 1400, there's 3 varieties of those. They're 55 inches long, or 1400 millimeter. But you have the holy rail there, that's for LAT 32. Right? You have your standard, and then you have this one, which I think is the cat's pajamas, because you put adhesive pads on there. This fits. Look, check this out. I'm going to a job site. I got my Cis Air, right, and a track saw. That's what that hole's for. It's amazing. I didn't hit the camera, did I, unit? Okay, good. Okay, and we also have that. In the 75-inch version, or the 1900, we have the the newest one for the adhesive pads, and you can actually drill into a wall and hold it there. But we also have this one, which is standard. And then we have another holy rail, which is 95 inches, or 24 millimeters, or 2,424 millimeters. And then the FS 2700, which is 106 inches. But the one I always recommend, if you don't want to connect rails, is the 3000 rail. Okay? And I'll tell you why. That is 118 inches. And that's my favorite. You see I have it over here, and I'm going to just swing over here really quick. It's because the 106 will work. But if you have, when you're ripping plywood, and the parallel edge guides, the will work. But when you're ripping hardwood and you need the parallel edge guides, doing strips for bent laminations or whatever, okay, it's really tight. So I always recommend just save a few extra pennies and get the 3000 rail. I just want to mention that to you. Good. Okay, so let's get over here, because I want to show you our carpentry saw, but I want to step it up a notch for everybody. Okay, I have it set up. I have the cordless version here. And the beauty of this rail, okay, it's spring loaded. You have 2 points of contact. I think I've done a couple Festool lives on this. I usually put that in there like that and rotate it in. And anywhere I mark for rough carpentry or whatever, okay, I could take this and bring it right up to the line like this. Now the beauty of it is when I slide this on, and I want you to pay attention to this right here. See this right here? This goes on this one, which is a T that holds it on the track. And then you have this groove here for this part of the rail, that rib. So when I slide it on, it's pretty simple. I'm ready to rock and roll. I got the cordless version here. I just bring it right where I need it. Pretty simple. I can knock out all kinds of cuts. I do siding, flooring. Rick and I did a hardwood floor a few years back. I think it was about 9 years ago. We did a hardwood floor, and we had this with the shorter rail doing the 2 1/4 tongue and groove. And the bag captured almost all the dust. It was amazing. It really made the operation of the floor go a lot quicker. Okay? And we were using the cordless. We loved it. Okay, so here is, I want to show you the TS60 really quick. The TS60, this is a beautiful sole right here. Of the or base, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it has the groove, but you can also put this on the FSK as well. Same thing with the TS60 as well. It has this base right here, and you can put this on the FSK rails. And what I'm getting at is this. Oh, Minnie, are you okay?
I just needed to get something for our fans.
Okay, so I was like, Minnie's leaving? I can't do this without her. Okay. What I'm getting at is I've mentioned it when I was covering the HK saws. Okay? All the time, people come up and ask, hey, I heard I can use this 1-all, beat-all saw and not get a track saw. I will say it's a great saw to use on the regular guide rail if you're only making a few cuts. And I want to show you the setup of that. You have this channel right here, and you have these cams. So when I'm setting this up, one of the things I'm going to do is see how the blade is down below. I'm going to lift it up like this. Let's get that again. Right here, Chris, watch. I'm going to take it and lift it up. So it's up, and this tab here brings what? The guard up. So I'm able to set this up. The other thing I'll do first is I will set my depth as, oopsie, as easy as this. Let me bring that down again so I can set my depth. Okay, I'll set my depth just like this. And I'll set it right here. FS means the thickness. I'll just set it at 1 inch. And now I'm ready to go. So now you know, right? How I cut my STM yesterday. They were going, Sedge, what happened? Even the unit was busting my chops early. He goes, Sedge, you cut your STM. Boy, that HK works good. Okay, I'll just leave that there. Okay, so I'm gonna set this up just like I would any track saw. But I'm gonna implore you to be careful with this. For me, if I was building cabinetry, I would buy a saw just for that. For me, it's a little awkward ripping this plywood because I'm so used to my regular track saw because it's up high, right? So I'm gonna take this. I lost Garrett. Look, my assistant. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna hook up my dust extraction. I like the corded version. You're not gonna put the plug it in for me? Okay, I got it. I could do that. Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm so uninviting you for lunch. Okay, let me get that in there. Let's see. Why is this? Oh, there it is. Remember, when you put a plug-it cord in, it's a full quarter turn. Okay, I'm gonna take this over here like this. Now, make sure that's lifted up so it's out of the way. I'll start forward here and see how I lock it down? You're also going to notice, because that blade is exposed, the dust extraction. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll press that button right here to lift it up. That dust extraction is not as good It's fantastic, but not as good as the normal TS5560, TSV75. I think I covered, and TSC. So hopefully that made sense. You got to plunge it down, it locks in, and then at the end, lift it up. But you can get a different blade than this. And look at the cut that this makes. It's exceptional. Look at this. It's an exceptional cut. It's got the 1.8 millimeter blade on there. So hopefully that made a little sense to you. The HK saws also work on the track. Okay, cool. So we've covered the track saws, we've covered routers, and we've covered the carpentry saws. All work on the regular track, right? But there's one more, and this is a fun one. Come on over here, unit. I'm gonna make you earn your living today, sir. I'm gonna get this out of the way. Okay, so with the Carvex jigsaws, you can utilize the rail. Now this base, because it's a multi-basing system, watch, I'll take the top handle here. I have it set up. See this little tab? This comes off. And then you could put this base on. And everybody thinks that this base is exclusive for what? The circle cutter. And in the Capeex episode, I've done it twice, covering the Minnie. That's adorable. Did you get her? Look, Minnie's got ears. Happy Easter. Okay, you can use this cutter, this circle cutter here, and it's fantastic. Make sure you check out that episode. Okay, but the base also, I'm going to take it off so we can get a good shot of this. Also has this channel right here. You can use the Carvex jigsaws doing what? Cutting with the track. So everybody would scratch their heads when the Tryon was out there, because we had a base that works with the guide rail for the Tryon jigsaws. And everybody, why? Why would I have that? If I have a track, I probably got a 55 or 75. Remember way back when in this episode, excuse me, I said, what was the, Minnie, do you remember? Garrett, Minnie, do you remember the depth of cut with the 75? Did you hear that? He went 2 3/4. Okay. So it's 2 3/4. Well, this is a little bit more. Let me get my tape measure. Hey, Mo! I'm sure glad I got that extra lead. Okay. It is, I'll get it right here. This is 3.5. Oh my. And what if I have a beam, I'm cutting some rafters, and I don't take it over to the Capeex? Okay, it's probably just a little under 3.5, so the Capeex could probably cut it, right? Okay, at 90, right, Garrett? Yeah, it will. That's the dimension. I think it's, 3 7/16. That's it at 90, right? The He's a trainer, and he went, I don't know. Yes, it is. Okay, so I could cut this with the Capeex at 90. If I had it loose, I could take it over there. Let's just pretend this is a rafter, and I need to cut it, or it's massive, and I don't have a Capeex. Those are, I guess, scenarios, right? So I could take this rail, and when I do this, I want to make sure it's 90. I got it all set up. I show you how to set the carbide guides in here. I put a splinter guide in there. I was cutting with this yesterday, and I was pretty, I shouldn't say this. I was pretty shocked at the cuts at 90 I was getting. So I have a couple of things to coach you on this. When I set this up, depending on where your mark is, I'm just going to set this up for me because I know the distance. I set it up at 40 millimeters. But here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll coach you on. Make sure you clamp it. Okay? And you got that, Chris, on there? Good. Let's see if I can get another clamp on there. And I hate saying this sometimes, but when I used to work the phone many, many moons ago, or I was talking to a customer out and about, or I had a training, people weren't getting 90-degree cuts with a Carvex. Couple of reasons. They weren't using a Carvex blade, or I always drill it down in my head. I use a Carvex blade with it because it's thicker than most jigsaw blades out there. Did you set the carbide guides? and I show you that on the Carvex episode. And third, I would always watch technique. Okay, and just generally cutting like a curve or anything. People weren't getting 90. With this, because when I put this on here, it goes on the outside, there is a little bit of wiggle room, and that is to let the Carvex find its position and account for a slight drift. Okay, so when I put the battery on, just remember that's live right now. So you got to be wicked careful with all of this. And I'm going to put the dust extraction on, just like this. Some people don't use the dust extraction. That's fine. I just want to save all the cleanup that the unit has today. Okay. And when I do this, I put it on the outside. I love the outside splinter guard because the outside splinter guard helps balance it before I enter it. I have it on A for automatic. And when I turn it on, I keep pressure here and here, and I let the machine do its job. I don't pressure too much on it or put too much pressure, and there we go. And as you see, over here, come over here, unit. Yesterday, I was cutting all these pieces, and they were all 90. And you can see, this is the telltale sign. Look right here. Look how those all even. Look, they're warping from yesterday. But there you go. And it's even all the way around, and that's 90. Okay? That's 3.5 inch. Okay? At 90. That's virtually impossible with other systems out there. So I just want to make sure you understand you can cut thicker timber with the Carvex jigsaw if you need a perfectly straight line. Heck, what if you need to do something like this on a rafter and you come in here? This way I got to watch my fingers disassembling this. But I got to get an angle for a rafter cut like that. And they're already up there. You could take this, put it up there and make those cuts and you'll get that 90. Wait a minute, people are doubting me. Hang on. Let's see how good I was today cutting 90. Because I tell everybody, when you're using the Carvex, it's all about the pressure you're putting on there. So, hi, let me go get my square. Be right back, unit. I told you I was going to run you around today. Garrett, does that look 90 from there? I know it is. Look at that, everybody. Look at that. How is it here? Not so bad, but right here, look at that. Good? Hopefully that comes through. That come through pretty good? So there you go. If it's off a hair, no one will notice. But that's what you get with a Capeex jigsaw. You get 90s. Good. All right.